Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I have one of my students with me, an amazing success story, Joel Ackerman. He's been a videographer for a long time, but he was always struggling to make a lot of money. So he was making about $5,000 per month until he joined the Video Business Academy, where in 6 months he made over $80,000 with his video business, went up to over 13K per month, and now has total freedom and way more time. Way better, a way better financial situation. So I'm super excited to share his story with you. And yeah, let's get right into it. Welcome, Joel. Please introduce yourself so everybody knows who you are and what you do exactly.
Yeah, hi Nick, thanks for having me. Well, yeah, as you already said, I'm Joel. I'm in the video business since around 5 years now. Or I mean, even longer, but 5 years ago I was like, okay, let's really focus on this and let's try to make a living with that. And my niche, or what I'm focusing on, is visual effect content for social media. So basically to grab the attention from people, because on social media, or especially on social media, you only got like 2 seconds where you have to grab someone's attention. Otherwise they just scroll through your post. So this is what I'm focusing on. And yeah, apparently successfully.
Yeah, well, I mean, how was it before you started in the Video Business Academy? I mean, you were doing this for a long time. You said you were doing videos pretty much since I knew you when you did parkour.
Yeah.
But then how did you start getting to videos, and why did you do it as a like more professional? Why did you do it, run it as a business?
Well, I did it, of course, like same as you with parkour. It's like just filming yourself, and that's the reason like why I got into it in the first place. But then at some point, like around 5 years ago, I got more and more those kind of like influencer requests, like brands, they wanted to work with me because I have a big following. And I got kind of bored to see that many influencers posting like a boring selfie of just themselves with a product in their hand. And it was just like, hey, it's so boring. Like you can be more creative than just taking a selfie. So I started to just play around with different techniques on how to put a product into the light and make something special out of that. And then it literally started with some basic ideas, and it got more and more complex. And yeah, just a lot of creativity went into this.
Nice. And you literally went from, or like once you started, you went to making over $80,000 in 6 months with 15 projects. How was it before? Like how much money did you make, and what was the difference?
I don't have the exact numbers yet now, but it's about on average like 5K a month. But the thing was like I was working with an agency at the time that provided me a lot of jobs. And after the pandemic, this kind of went back, and I was just like, okay, it's kind of risky to fully rely on this one agency. And I knew, okay, I want to have like, yeah, I just want to make sure that if there is no one that can give me work, that I can get work myself. So that's also the reason why I joined the VBA. I just wanted to figure out a technique and a strategy that allows me to get my own clients without having to rely on someone else.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're not like pretty much dependent on somebody. And so that means you went from making 5K a month to around about 13, 14K a month after joining. What did that change for you, like from like on a perspective of life on a daily basis?
I would say the ease, how you can do something like that. There is a tactic behind, and it's kind of like step by step that you can follow, instead of having to think about the next steps all the time. So it's kind of like what you guys at the VBA provided was literally like a step-by-step guidance that makes it so much easier to follow. So it's not like that I have to figure out everything on my own. So that was definitely something that helped me a lot. And also, like, since 1.5 years now, I'm working on this app, developing an app, which obviously requires a lot of time as well. And
Money.
money, of course. So I knew I needed something that is kind of basic to follow, that allows me to have more time so I can focus on the app as well.
Understood. So that's also pretty much what you got from it, right? So now you're in a position where financial decisions don't really matter that much anymore. Mm-hmm. Of course, it still matters, but ultimately it's just way easier to invest into something like your own app or to do whatever you want with the money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, now my day or my usual day is like in the morning I focus on the app and this kind of stuff, and in the afternoon I do everything else and like the client's projects. But yeah, it's kind of nice that I don't have to focus like the entire day on client projects, but I still have time to do something else.
Oh, that's sick. And yeah, you wrote posts about like what you learned in the VBA within the past 6 months. And I loved that absolutely, because you literally just took what me and my team have in our heads and put it in a list. So when I read that, I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
What was like your key learning in the past 6 months?
I think the key learning, I mean, the thing with the retainers just does make so much sense to me now. Like, I haven't really thought about this before, but basically, like, when you try to get a new client all the time, or you try to work with different clients all the time, then it just requires so much more time, because for every new client you have to go through the same process again. But with retainers, you like, once you closed them, it's so much easier because you already know the brand and you don't have to research everything from the beginning. So it just makes it
easier. And also they pay you every month, right?
Exactly. It's also the safety thing. So that makes it easier. And I mean, also when I realized, okay, let's focus on the existing clients that I already have and really try to like over deliver in a sense as well, and really try to make them satisfied. So they are like, hey, we want to work with Joel again, because that's so much easier than trying to find a new client and make them happy.
100%. So why do you think you're able to do that now, that people will want to work with you over and over and over again?
Because I feel like I treat them as they are my most important client. I mean, also, like, to be honest, if you like right now, I have like 2 or 3 clients that are retainers. So they are kind of my only clients. So it's easy to say, okay, I just treat them as my only client, because I know there's a lot of potential in the future as well. Like, they're really happy with my work, so I want to keep it that way.
Yeah, makes sense. But does that also have to do with the way like you work together with them, with the processes that you set up in your business, or is that like only the way how you treat them?
Of course, it's also processes. Like what you guys are really strong at is the onboarding process, which I haven't really done before, but it just makes so much sense now. Because it's like a client is hiring you because they don't want to put in that work. They want to buy time of you. So if you can give them an exact guidance or like a schedule, like when is happening what, they will trust in that, and they know, okay, they can just leave you alone, and they can rely on you that they get what they are looking for. Mm-hmm. So it's this.
So you're more like taking off their
exactly
the work of their plate.
This planning process, like, just make clear, okay, these are the steps, it's happening then, and then they can fully trust in that.
Yeah, and there was another thing that you put on the list, which was like only focus on selling the very next step. And I personally know exactly what you mean by that, but explain to the audience, like, when you say selling only the next step, what exactly do you mean by that?
it's actually something that Diego said, and I was like, wow, yeah, never thought of that. But because we are always so far ahead with the end thing, but the client doesn't really see that, or it's too far in the distance. So only focusing on the next step or trying to sell the next step is like, okay, what is the next goal that you want to achieve? Like when you are in the first call with a client, with a potential client, then obviously the next step is to get him in another call where you can introduce like your ideas that you have.
Yeah.
So it's like,
So going like literally in discovery call, you sell the strategy call, then you sell the agreement, and then you sell the project. Like
yeah, exactly.
It's basic step-by-step thinking instead of trying to sell a video right away when somebody's in contact with you in a LinkedIn conversation.
Yeah, because it all has to do with focus. Like if you have this one goal, which is the next step, then it's so much easier to just tell stuff that is important or relevant to this next step.
100%. And it's way easier for the client to understand. It's way easier for you to sell.
Yeah. Like it's funny, like once you get it, it's just so simple.
Yeah, simple is king.
Yeah.
It's our main phrase in the company.
Yeah.
All right, so the clients you're working with right now, what are some of the brand names, if you're allowed to talk about it?
Sure. I mean, one of them is Waterdrop. It's like this Austrian startup that got quite big in the last 5 years, and they also tell me like it's super cool that the content really works on their TikTok account. And another brand, like Disneyland, for example. I mean, it's worked for them twice now, so kind of a retainer. But like some really big brands that allow me to, that allow some special opportunities as well, like especially Disneyland, which is quite cool.
That's super sick. But was it always like big brands, or was it more like smaller companies in the beginning when you started out making videos?
I mean, I think I got kind of lucky with big brands from the beginning on as well. But I'm not sure if that has to do with what I do, that those videos that I create is like short form content, and big brands are more likely to spend this kind of money for just a short video. So that might be the reason why big brands, or why I'm working with a lot of big brands.
Yeah, of course. But then it's still interesting, like most videographers, when they think big brands, big money, big bucks, gonna get rich from it. Ultimately, you were making 5K a month, but you were already working with big brands, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you think, like, what was the biggest difference there? I mean, it wasn't the client that suddenly had more money for you, but was it the way how you approached it, the way how you sold it, the way how you increased your prices, or what changed that you were able to go from 5K to like 15K a month?
I think it was the value that I saw myself in the videos, because in the beginning I kind of were thinking about, okay, it's a 10-second video. Like if I sell this for 2K, that's already a lot for 10 seconds. And now it's more like, okay, I know I create videos that can get like up to 1 million views on TikTok. And this value is a lot bigger than 2,000 euros. So this is what started to change for me, that I knew, okay, it's the result that I can sell and I know that I'm good at. And that's why I can also increase the prices, even for just 10 seconds.
So you stopped selling the nice and cool and funny videos, and you started selling the value that the video actually adds to the business of the
Exactly, yeah. So I kind of like the key point that I was selling is always attention. Like I can make sure that people don't scroll through.
And that makes a lot of sense. That's exactly what most videographers miss out there, right? They're trying to sell the video, they're trying to sell videos to clients, while they don't realize that what actually counts is the result that the client gets from that video. And that is what you implemented perfectly.
Yeah, I mean,
where it's just like,
genius. Honestly, I don't consider myself as a great filmmaker. Like there are a lot of filmmakers out there that are so much better than myself. But I know that I'm really creative and I understand how those platforms like TikTok work and how you can get a lot of views. And this is what really matters for a company, for a brand.
Wow. Big statement. I love that. That's a really good one. It's a really good
Yeah,
one.
I didn't know what aperture is until like 2 years ago.
Nice. And when you now are thinking back to where you were before you started pretty much joining the Video Business Academy, and you think about somebody who is on the verge of joining, they're thinking, well, should I really do this? Is this going to be a good investment? Yes, I do have that 100% success guarantee, but is this really true? Is this really good? What advice would you give to somebody who is on the verge of, should I do this or not?
I mean, it's a commitment. Like, same for me. It was just a commitment. I was like, okay, I know that Nick and the guys, they can help me. It's just like, do I really want to scale the business? And I know that, okay, it's this commitment. And if I really commit to it, I will get serious about it. So it was all about this. Like, honestly, if it would have been for free, I wouldn't have made that much, or I wouldn't have had that much success, because I would not have been that serious about it. So it's like,
It hurts less. If it's free, it hurts less.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, okay, let's do this. Like 100%, let's start and really feel accountable and take the steps that you guys are providing.
Mm-hmm. And when somebody's thinking like, yeah, well, but it sounds all nice and cool, Joel, thank you very much. But ultimately, does it work for me? I mean, not every videographer is the same, right? You're very different than others. So what would you tell them if they're unsure if it works for them specifically?
Honestly, I think it works for every kind of business, because every kind of business works in a similar way. So for me, it was more kind of like the mindset that, for example, you have, that I can watch you, how you handle a problem, for example, and then trying to apply it to my business. And now, obviously, like in the VBA, there are a lot of things that already are, what's the word? Like, it already works for the business that are from the people.
Proven.
Yeah, because it's tailored to like filmmakers, of course. But still, like, I feel like a lot of those techniques can be applied to any other business as well.
Yeah, 100%. All right, super interesting. Love your story, obviously. And what would be the last thing you would want to say to somebody who just spent like almost 20 minutes watching two guys talking about video businesses and how to grow it and the success that they got? What advice would you give them, or what would you say to them?
Maybe that your to-do list is never going to be on zero. There are always tasks piling up. So the question becomes, what tasks are the most important? And with the VBA, you can definitely learn what kind of tasks the important ones are, and really just focus on them and make them perfect. So your business is actually growing and not just staying there where it is and you having no time for anything.
Yeah, that's good advice. All right, Joel, thank you very much for taking the
Sure.
time, and looking forward to see you further wins and see you succeed.
Of course. Have a good one.
Thank you, man.